over to you, Akshali. Where did you find the hurdles in your business?
Okay, the hurdle started since the day one. I was 20 when I went to the office, when I started going to the office. Nobody takes you seriously. हाँ कि daughter है, आएगी, शादी हो जाएगी, चले जाएगी. You know, it's going to be like another 5 months and she'll be gone. But that was the greatest challenge that people were not ready to accept. That even a daughter can come into the second generation, and especially a Gujarati family. So there were a little acceptance issues there. So the second challenge was when I was starting a new brand. So there was a lot of, कि ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता, nobody is going to buy double the price for this milk, what sort of service issues. So people were not really getting the feel of the concept that I was trying to sell them. So that was one of the greatest challenge, and I think we're still facing that challenge somewhere. Third challenge that we faced was, my father was a lot of supportive, but the people in the organization, the employees, the kind of feel I was getting was not really good. So these are the challenges as a woman I faced. But in challenges for the product and the brand was the logistic issues and minor things. So thank you.
Thanks. Aradhana, we have seen a lot of women get inspired by listening to stories, and of course, they want to make a mark in the business. They would set up a business, but when it comes to scalability, they actually face a problem. So how did you work upon that?
Absolutely. Scaling any business is very challenging, and the challenge lies in being able to maintain quality. The challenge as an entrepreneur lies in being able to trust so that someone else can do as good or a better job that you believe you could have done. And I think the only way around it is to have this relentless focus on process, and right from day one. So someone said that, you can't run a marathon and midway through realize, oh, I didn't eat breakfast, and so I should turn back now, eat breakfast, and then finish the marathon. So whether it's your first center or shop or factory or your 50th, from the first center itself, you've got to start thinking about, what brand colors you're going to have, what the center look and feel is going to be, how you're going to operate, and defining it and investing in technology, which is what's going to help scale. Of course, coming to us, what helped us? So, of the 40 centers, 20 are company-owned and the balance are sub-franchise. So once we prove to our principals that we were suitable partners, then they gave us the first master franchisee ship outside of the US. And that's what helped us then in scaling further. Of course, at the end of the day, it all boils down to the team that you have. And I think I'm fortunate that we've had a very good team that at Manya, through which we've reached where we are. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to do justice to the 30,000 students that knock on our doors every year.
And Sanya, if we ask you, what are the best practices you brought to modernize this industry, which is very traditional in nature?
See, like I was telling you, the most important practice at the back end was, of course, the education. Ensuring that we removed the middlemen in between. So we started producing our own goods. We started doing in-house manufacturing. We adopted various looms in Varanasi and started the art of canvas painting on saris. By doing that, what happened is that the trader who was there in between would take the maximum margins away from the weaver or the craftsman. So eventually, if I am producing something which is costing me about 50 lakhs on an average being 50,000, and on an average being retailed at 2.5 lakhs, the weaver would be getting 1,000 rupees for that sari. So that is the amount of difference that is there when you have a trader or you have a middleman in between this entire process. Vis-a-vis what we've started doing now is we've put them on wages, which is on an average from 10,000 rupees to 25,000 rupees, which is very good depending on which scale they are working at. And then what happens is that the overall development of the craftsman's family and the craftsman himself begins. When he's happy, my production cycle becomes stronger, so my supply chain is better. So it's a complete vicious circle. And I think the core of this vicious circle is actually the craftsman who's creating that art for you. So on the back end, that is the practice that we've really adopted. Of course, on the front end, I realized that in our industry per se, there is no experience when it comes to buying. So there are designers. If I would go to a designer's showroom, I would go and if I have the snooty approach and the designer feels I am carrying that kind of buck to buy him, then I am good enough and a salesperson would attend me. On the other hand, there are trade showrooms where you go and they serve you chaat pakodi when you go there and they say, Madam, आइए खाइए बैठिए साड़ी देखिए. Now, these are two extremes. There is no experience zone per se when you buy an Indian product, specifically in apparel. So that was one very major thing that we incorporated in all our stores, where there was an experience to consume journey. So I first experience the product, and then if I want, I will consume it. And the experience has to be at an international level, because if I stereotype the Indian ethnic wear industry, I will never be able to take it global. So what we had to look at was a global practice that needed to be incorporated within an Indian brand, so that tomorrow when I'm scaling the brand, I don't need to change the environment of the store or the DNA of the brand at that point of time. So that was a very major step that we took. And of course, the teams were incorporated in such a way that they understood the brand's DNA. And I don't think that now I need to be present everywhere to explain the experience to consume journey of Diwani. My team is well equipped. They understand the DNA, and we try and integrate this from a stock boy to a salesperson to our divisional heads. All of them know what the experience of Diwani needs to be, and the consumer shouldn't be pushed to buy our product. The consumer should know what they are buying, because what is lacking in our industry is that today I end up selling a product which could be X number of amount, and the consumer would not appreciate that product because a cheap replica of that product is available two door next. So till the time we don't take a step of educating the consumer of what he or she is purchasing, how do you expect that consumer to be committed to you? So I think the change needs to happen. The perspective needs to get changed on how we look at the industry. And I think then we will be able to appreciate our own products and go global. Till the time we look down upon an Indian handmade product, how do you expect the markets to acknowledge or accept you? I mean, a very sad state of affairs I've seen is, if it's Italian handmade, I will pay any amount that is quoted by an ex-international brand. But if it's Indian handmade, there is a basic nature to sit down there and bargain, thinking that the prices have been hiked, and if there is no discount, then maybe, I've not done the justice of my purchase. Why? Why is it there? Why do we demean something that is our own creation and look up to something that is international? That's actually in all our, it's a basic thing I've seen with all the Indians. I am really sorry to say, but it's just within us. We will enter an international brand and we become international. And the moment we enter an Indian homegrown brand, we become so desi that we just want to bargain. I think we need to change that about ourselves. Because if we don't respect our own creations, you cannot expect the world to acknowledge and respect what you're doing. I think, yeah.
I buy into it. Akshali, coming to you, how did you modernize this business?
Okay, there are only a couple of brands which are pan-India present. A dairy business is a very area-centric business, and there are very few brands which are, which are found from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. So one of my this was to expand distribution pan-India. So make sure that even if you go to Leh Ladakh, that you find my milk, or even if you go to Kanyakumari, that you should find Go milk. So distribution was one of it. Brand building activity. Dairy business is such a developing activity. There are very few brands, it's very unorganized sector. Still, dairy, 33% of the dairy is organized and the rest is unorganized. So brand building activities that we've done in the past. So, doing 360-degree branding from ATL to shopper marketing, trade marketing, making sure that we are there on social media, making the correct use in building the brand. So we have 4 brands under Parag Milk. That is Govardhan, Go Cheese, Pride of Cows, and Top Up. So as I told you earlier, the another activity that we've done is increasing the capacity of cheese in the plant. So right now we are Asia's largest cheese producing company. We actually made this capacity 10 times the current capacity. So we were for metric ton before like 10 years, but right now we are 40 metric tons. So we are one of the most technologically best company and largest company in Asia.